The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Hey, good morning, everyone. It's 5 a.m. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher. A truck nearly burnt to the ground. This is on 7th Standard Road, not far from Highway 99 exit. The video was sent to us by Brandon Barraza. We're still waiting to hear back from firefighters. No word yet on any injuries or what started the blaze. Crime Watch now. A man wanted for 2 homicides in Bakersfield 19 years ago has been captured in Tijuana. FBI officials say 53-year-old Gustavo Soria was captured by Baja California State Police. Soria is accused of killing 2 people in separate incidents in Bakersfield back in 2004. The FBI obtained a warrant for his arrest after he fled to Mexico in a rental car. Soria was booked into the Kern County jail on 2 counts of first-degree murder. He's set to appear in court tomorrow.
A man has been arrested in connection to a deadly shooting at a Delano cemetery. That shooting happened last Wednesday at the North Kern Cemetery on Austin Street. Police say there was a small funeral service at the cemetery that day, and at some point a fight broke out, and that's when someone from the funeral pulled a gun out and fired. Investigators say 25-year-old the shooting suspect is Eduardo Hernandez, and he was arrested while trying to cross the Mexico border. The man who was killed has not been identified. Hernandez is being held without bail, booked on a charge of murder.
Your time is 5:03, and making news around the nation this morning, President Biden is expected to launch his campaign for re-election this week. It's been a long-awaited announcement, but it appears many Americans have election fatigue. NBC's Bree Jackson's in Washington with the latest.
President Biden preparing to announce his re-election bid as soon as Tuesday.
President Biden has such a strong record to run on. He has gotten this country through the pandemic. He has the backs of the American people, and Americans know that.
The latest NBC News poll shows 70% of Americans believe Mr. Biden should not run for a second term, including 51% of Democrats. Many cite his age as a major reason why. At 80, Biden is already the oldest president to ever serve. His allies contend he is fit to do the job.
He is an active president who is meeting the challenges of America every day.
Topping the list of potential Republican challengers, former President Trump, who was recently indicted and still faces other criminal investigations.
I will continue to fight for our values, our faith, and our freedom.
Our NBC News poll shows voters do not have the appetite for a Biden-Trump rematch, a sentiment even some Republicans agree with.
And so we don't want to repeat that. It takes alternatives.
But the GOP is divided over who should lead the party.
They're supporting former President Trump over these indictments, right? And there's a lot of support there. Republicans want someone who can win in November of 24. Donald Trump is a loser.
Former Vice President Mike Pence says he'll make a decision about challenging his old boss before late June. And President Biden is expected to release a video announcing his re-election bid as soon as Tuesday, which marks the 4th anniversary of his 2020 announcement. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.
Meantime, Biden's expected campaign announcement could be getting a big influence from a Kern County native. The president is poised to name Julie Chavez Rodriguez to manage the re-election campaign. She has been part of the Biden administration since the very beginning of his term and now serves as the senior advisor to the White House. But many of you probably recognize her as the daughter of legendary labor activist Cesar Chavez. She was born in Delano and went to Tehachapi High School before graduating from UC Berkeley. For the 3rd time in about 16 years, state regulators will provide 100% of the water requested by cities and farms. As you can imagine, it's all thanks to that historic winter season that we just had. And most of California is now out of a drought, and that is why the State Water Project will provide allocations to 29 water agencies, supplying water to about 27 million people across California and about 750,000 acres of farmland. The trial for the couple charged in the deaths of their adopted sons will head back to court later this week. Trezell and Jacqueline West are on trial for the murders of their two adopted young sons, Orrin and Orson, who were reported missing from their California City home in late December 2020. Prosecutors claim the boys were killed about 3 months before that, though their bodies have never been found. Defense counsel insists there is no cover-up. A candlelight vigil was held Friday night in front of the Kern County Courthouse to honor the brothers. The trial resumes in the courtroom tomorrow and is expected to last until June.
An 18-year-old charged for a DUI crash that killed his teenage passenger is due in court today. Prosecutors filed charges against Timothy Javier Leal last week. He's facing 7 felonies, including gross vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated and hit and run resulting in death. Prosecutors say Leal was intoxicated when he ran a stop sign in a stolen car back in February and was hit by another vehicle at the intersection. His passenger, a 15-year-old boy, died at the scene.
5:35 now, and we have a major official update on the Bakersfield College professor accused of unprofessional conduct. The Kern Community College District is speaking out for the first time after confirming Dr. Matthew Garrett had been terminated. The district released a statement saying Garrett was repeatedly warned of his actions and was disrupting ongoing activities at BC, adding they had no choice but to move forward with action. Garrett has the option to appeal the board's decision in front of an administrative law judge if he chooses. Well, after a trip of a lifetime, local veterans on Honor Flight 46 are back home from Washington, D.C., where they toured multiple memorials built in their honor. 17's Michaela Armstrong has more.
The journey began with a warm goodbye and a warm welcome, but none of these veterans knew what this experience had in store for them. In 2 days, the group visited more than 6 memorials, but with a group made up of mostly Vietnam veterans, for many, the most impactful was the Vietnam Wall. Larry Walker, a Vietnam vet, came to the wall hoping to find the names of 16 veterans he didn't know, to etch the names and show them to their families when he returned.
It's just, I feel a need that they deserve recognition for what they've done, their families, maybe some closure for them. I don't know. Whatever comes of it will make me happy.
He found all 16 names. Vietnam vet Robert Mendez said it took him a while to decide to take the honor flight, but couldn't be happier he finally made the decision, especially after seeing the wall.
It is an impressive sight, I'll tell you that. Yeah. Running your hands over all the names, you can't help but feel emotion.
But Mendez says for him, the memories of some of those he knew on the wall is what he cherishes most.
I remember. Memories are everything to me, okay? A name up there helps, but they'll never be out of my mind.
The entire trip, the veterans were celebrated, and young children bonded with them, gave them flowers, and most importantly, thanked them for their service. The honoring did not end there, as on the flight to return to Bakersfield, veterans were given letters written to them by friends, family, and students detailing their appreciation for them, something Walker did not take for granted.
It's so heartwarming now that we didn't get it back then. We did not get that thank you when we came home, and now we're receiving it.
All to return to a cheering crowd gathered at Meadows Field to welcome the group home.
And Capitol correspondent Eitan Wallace traveling to the annual Cap to Cap conference in Washington, D.C. As they advocate for issues facing our region, the delegation gives us a look at some of the priorities they plan to address.
Applause and smiles as meetings officially got underway at the annual Cap to Cap conference in our nation's capital. Organized by the Sacramento Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce, this is the 51st year Metro Chamber has put on this program.
We're here in person. Yay! Yay! I'm so excited.
This meeting included just a handful of the more than 400 attendees from various sectors across the California capital region, including 110 elected representatives, all of them here to meet with federal officials. The goal? To secure billions of dollars of funding and resources for back home.
The delegation includes 12 different policy teams, each focusing on a unique issue that directly impacts our area. One issue top of mind, water.
And especially this year, the importance of flood control.
What we did see was some catastrophic failures of
levee systems.
Sacramento City Fire Chief Chris Costamagna is referring to the series of atmospheric rivers that slammed the state this winter, at times leading to deadly results. He hopes his presence in Washington will help secure funding for training that could save lives in future storms.
To have those first responders trained for a flood event or swift water event, it takes extra training above and beyond what you receive when you come into the fire service.
Such training, he says, is particularly significant now, given the record snowpack and soon-to-be mega snow melt that already is starting to pose challenges in parts of the state.
The rivers are cold now, they're high, and there's a continued threat for drownings.
And while that's one concern heading into summer, so too, he says, is the threat of potentially destructive fires. He hopes federal resources will help with forest management and increased staffing.
We need staff, and staffing in the fire service is a crisis nationwide, not just in California. So we're looking at new ways to staff our fire departments, and some of that comes from the federal government.
Another major issue at the conference, agriculture.
California, we're the largest producer of foods.
That's why cap-to-cap attendees are putting a large focus on the Farm Bill, a major package of investments Congress authorizes every 5 years. What goes into that legislation could have major implications for the ag industry, food security programs, and ultimately what you buy at the supermarket.
We want to strengthen agriculture and our farmers and make sure that by creating more local markets for them, they're able to stay viable and people know where their food comes from. That's really important for us, and for being America's farm to fork capital, we want to be every farm to every fork.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.